JB here. Friday, July 26th, about 1:44 on this outstanding Friday. Just gonna talk really quick. I actually don't have all my charts. I had an issue getting the charts up, so I'll try my best uh, to just share some thoughts first on the market and then some of the individual names. Kind of I wouldn't call it a chop here, but the SPY just came all the way up to yesterday's 547 high, and like clockwork, just reverse course within a matter of 5 minutes. It went from 547 to 544. So whether that's just more churn or that's going to be the top resistance for now, and it's going to be very tough to get through that spot in the next coming days, I guess we'll find out soon enough. But at least we're back above 541. The SPY's up nicely 1%. It seems like it's a broad-based rally as opposed to just individual indexes outperforming and others not performing. So not too bad. The PC data was a mixed bag, but I don't think it would have taken a big surprise on the hot side to rattle markets. And then now we go into next week, and next week we have earnings. There's tons of earnings. You have some of the I think the rest of the Magnificent Seven. You have Meta. Let's see, I had them all up here, and of course I lost my my slide here. But Tuesday is AMD. Let's see if I have them all up here. Yeah, Tuesday after close, you have Microsoft and AMD, Starbucks, Arista Networks. So that'll be uh, interesting. And then, and you'll, of course, Microsoft might have to weigh in on the CrowdStrike deal. I don't know. Boeing reports Wednesday morning. Then Wednesday after close, you have Meta, Facebook, Qualcomm. Qualcomm's interesting, right? You would think that name would do a little better with everything that's going on with the refresh cycle, right? And then Thursday is the big day as well. You have Amazon, Apple, Intel, Coin, Roku, Square. See, I didn't know Square had announced the earnings date. So, of course, I scroll back and it looks like they announced the earnings date July 3rd. So, shame on me for not seeing that. Uh, anyway, so rants for other days. So hopefully there's no crazy pullback like we had yesterday at the 3:30 hour. Markets kind of find some footing. We head into the weekend. We have the Fed on Wednesday, so Tuesday starts the Fed meeting. Wednesday at 2 o'clock is Fed Chair Powell giving the Fed giving their statement, and then you have Fed Chair Powell at 2:30 doing his interview. So I think anything outside of painting a picture of cutting rates at the September meeting will be a disappointment. So could they do a surprise rate cut? I mean, I don't think you want to surprise the markets, right? You already, I mean, a couple weeks ago, he already said kind of wasn't hawkish, but pretty much said that they don't want to be they want to cut rates before they hit their mandates, right? 2% inflation, full employment, blah blah blah. The same garbage they've been spewing for years. But hopefully he can just spin that, and then earnings come out decent. Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Microsoft will be important, especially on the heels of Google. The cloud business between Microsoft, Amazon, and Google will be important. Um, yeah, so should be interesting. So that's the market today and into next week. Small caps 222 is the big spot on the IWM. We're over that, so hopefully we can hold there. And if you take a look at the small cap chart, which I don't have in front of me, actually I do. It still looks like consolidation before the next leg. You look at this chop between uh 216 or so and the 228 or 227.50 that we hit back in the middle, a couple 2 weeks ago. Just looks like chop. But the more I look at, the more it looks like it's a bull flag setting up. And how I do the bull flags, you cut them in half. So the move from the bottom to the top of the mast, to whatever you want to call it. So 202.50 to 227.50 gives you a $25 range, and then you divide that in half, and you take 12.50. Does that takes us up to 238 or so? I could, that's sounds easy and simple. It's not, of course, watching on a day-to-day basis. It's with the swings, the pullbacks, and things like that. But longer term, maybe before the year's out, I would think that's possibly a target. All right, so that's individual names. I mean, that's the market. Quick talk on some individual names, and iRobot giving back some of its gains from yesterday. It's only down barely 2%, 1.95%, went all the way up to 1345 right at the open, and then gave those gains back with the small caps pulled back at 11 o'clock. Well, hit lows 11, and now it's kind of grinding. And I said it yesterday. I'm going to put together my due diligence piece, and some of it is going to be around the cost spend, right? The big issue with iRobot was when your business is doing great, you can spend, 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 and that's what the CEO and founder was doing. He's looking, and here, while I'm talking, Boston Beer is hitting more highs. I was looking at some 310s, but I'm gonna sit on my hands. So he spent on trying to do innovations, the lawnmower, air purifier, all these things, and what with that comes staffing and expensive staffing and higher costs. So now you have this turnaround specialist coming in that doesn't have the same uh, doesn't have the same goals or agenda or what have you. He's not looking to innovate. He's right now he's just looking to create a profitable company. So it comes with the hard things, terminating people, cutting costs, bringing on a new leadership team to have the same vision. So that's kind of where we're at with in regards to the stages of what's going on with iRobot. So I think once they get those costs on, hopefully this quarter, which they report August 7th, they'll show more progress in regards to cost cutting. Hopefully their guidance for the back half is even better in regards to earnings and being cash flow positive. They can give great updates on what's going on with this Carlisle debt deal. Maybe considering rates are coming down, maybe they can work out some kind of deal there. Uh, and then, if they sell that, I think it was $120 million in inventory. So, I mean, the company's $300 million market cap. Let's see what it is now because it obviously was up 11% yesterday. Up $357 million market cap. I think they have 130 million or so in cash. 40 million is restricted. 100 and something million in inventory. 130 million. They have back orders. They have all these assets. I have to go look at because they also have assets, and I was trying to read exactly what they count and calculate as part of their assets, but and I think they worked out some of the lease issues. They had, I think there was a high cost structure in regards to offices and warehouses and things like that, and I think they worked that out. Uh, so anyway, so there's a lot of work I have to do to try and figure out the numbers and help rationalize where the possible potential could be for iRobot. But I still think 20 is a reasonable target pending any crazy shenanigans. Some analyst comes in, decides to downgrade it after the stock's down 75% or whatever it is. I don't want to rule out some kind of, I think they have a shelf offering. So I think they already used some of the offering, and I got to look into that. Are they going to come out with an offering, which is fine. I think if you're bearish the company, the issue right now is the debt, right? So you're a publicly traded company. Your job is your reason you're publicly traded is have access to capital. So, I mean, I think they raised it when it was $8, so it was a little different. Now it's up here at 12.50, 12.60. I hope, and if you go to their filings, it shows, there's no wordings, no going concern remarks in the filing. So it looks like that, they have enough cash and so on and so forth. So just they don't really mention the Carlisle deal, and that deal doesn't allow them to, I guess, procure more inventory until either they sell more or they have to put aside money. Again, I'll go into more detail when I have 100% specifics. All right, so I still like that one. It's funny. It was churning right around this. Well, not right around this level, but the same kind of way when the markets were tumbling 2 days ago, and it's kind of doing the same thing here. So, just I guess, and if you look at the chart on iRobot, it's still, it looks in the whole grand scheme and scope of things, it's up from 850 a couple weeks ago. It's you have to think at some point it's going to be some churn. So still looks great here and almost looks like a stair step. And so 1450, big spot for iRobot. I think once it gets through that, off to the races. Gilead was all the way up to $78 this morning. At times my calls were nearly up 400%. I was going to look to get some 85s for August, but I think I'm just going to be patient because at some point there might be a little pull. I mean, the stock's been on absolute fire the last 3 sessions. I mean, take a look at this. I mean, it was $71 on Monday and Tuesday, excuse me, a 3 day sell off, and then just take a look at this move to the upside and just monster move, and you pull it back, and now you start looking at these highs from at the start of the year. So do I think it goes to 80? I think it goes to 80. Tough, a little tougher to wrap my head around it going too much higher, but it certainly could, pending a catalyst. They report earnings on August 8th, so that could be the next leg for upside for Gilead. So I talked about Square, and I think I talked about this morning. You had Dorsey coming out with some memo to his team around some more restructuring in the company, which I think when your company is not perceived by the investment community, at least by some people, I'm bullish the name, when it's perceived not to be running well or executing, and then you have restructuring and things like that. I think that bodes well. I think that you, I mean, it's sitting here at $60, so obviously it's still the market doesn't think so, but I think it bodes well. So that's that. That's Square. Roku reports next week. Not going to do anything on that one. It was actually looking good before, but I think it ran all the way. Did it hit 59? Yeah, hit exactly at 59, and then it's right here at 58.12. Just dropped a buck. Still like that one for upside. Gold rallying today. I mean, it was down 2.5%. It's recouped almost half of that. What's up 1.27%. Still think the path of least resistance right now is 2300. And for some reason, my Thinkorswim is showing gold right now at 2430, which is not accurate. So if it closed at 2351, 2353, so was it two? It's got to be 2386 or so, right? So you just take the $30. So I guess that's where it is now. But I still think it trades it to 2300. Continue to hold my nugget strikes. Yeah, so Boston Beer. I mean, they reported earnings after the close yesterday, and it's one of those names I've loved over the years. What I think it was 2013, I wrote a piece. The stock maybe it was $100, and I just liked it as a growth story, under the radar, uh, growing, still kind of unknown, and then it took off, and they got to the point. So you had Steve Koch. I forget what the CEO's name is. Sam Koch. So whatever. He used to go on interviews on CNBC drinking Samuel Adams. It would be like 9 a.m. It was like he was my hero. But he would they kind of went from growth to almost like a value story, and then they were doing buybacks and they were throwing out tons of cash, doing acquisitions, and the company used to be like a seed capital company for all these craft brewery people and what have you, and it did really well. I forget where the stock went to, but then it came on hard times. Their hard seltzer was the next leg of their business, and then obviously it did well for a couple quarters, and then everybody else has a hard seltzer. Uh, so anyway, I was looking at the earnings, ran for another day, and then you see it reversing at the open. I almost went and got some strikes. The issue is only August calls. I was looking at the 310s, and they were expensive, but of course they're up from when I was looking at it, and I was almost looking at some 320s, 330s before. But I really, I look at the analyst ratings and I'm looking at the earnings and I'm like, does it get over $300? There was a rumor a couple weeks ago that some company was going to buy them out. That was refuted. Maybe some of the reason the stock is bouncing here is because people are starting to bake in more buyout premium. I don't know. But a name I'm definitely watching. I think that's about it. Unity Software, such a tease, back up to levels it hit. Yes, so it goes all the way down to 1620 or so at 11, then back up to 1678, and then now it's turning here at 1650. This one just drives me nuts. So it's probably, yeah, I'm probably not going to trade that one anytime soon. Once my calls are done, unless it obviously goes bonkers. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. Deck reverse today. I mean, all the way up to 980 at the open. Gosh, I remember Deck. I think I wrote a piece, maybe it was like 2014, about Uggs. And I could probably find it on the site, but this is back in the day. Stock might have been like $50. And to see it up here at 9, yeah, Deckers, I would have to go find it. But 980 all the way down to 900. And then you look, and again, similar story, like play for a bounce, but then it only has August strikes. So that's not in my wheelhouse, because it's tough. Not only monthly strikes, but the liquidity is tough. So the spreads are wide. If you want to get in and out, it's just not easy. So I tend to shy away from monthly contracts when I can, unless it's a high liquidity stock. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. STRL is one of my top 5 stocks. Got pummeled 2 days ago. Well, actually, he got pummeled like a week and a half ago. Then we got pummeled again the last 2 days, and now it's finally starting to come back. But then you look at a name like URI. These are all names that I think have this tailwind of infrastructure, right? The $1 trillion, whatever trillion, 2 point whatever $1 trillion infrastructure bill 2.5 years ago. Now you're seeing these companies reaping the benefits of this bill, as all this money is flowing into projects. And what do the projects need? They need companies to oversee them and do them, which would be the STRLs of the world, or the device, the equipment to get them done. That's the URIs of the world. So GWW is another name, and it's like I was in the calls on URI calls in June. I should have just rolled into July or August. Same GWW, I've been in calls. I mean, that one looks like it's going to break back into 1,000, but I just don't want to be in a situation where I have too much risk on heading into the weekend. So I'm probably just going to sit on my hands for the rest of the day, pending seeing any kind of speculative lotto that I can get a decent profit on. So that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio on Monday. And I'll try and have a piece on iRobot during the weekend. I don't know if it's going to be a video one. It's a lot easier to talk. But if people prefer me to type it out, I'll try and do that. But sometimes it's tough. I'm very picky with how I write, so it takes some time to to proofread and all those things. And for some reason, I don't know if this is me, but typos drive me nuts. And it seems like it's like a proliferation, however you want to pronounce it, of typos. It's, back in the day, you would read an online article and there would not be a iota of typo. And this is before you used to have the autocorrect and all these programs that check. Now it seems like every day I find typos on every article, and it just drives it's like a pet peeve. Anyway, let's have a great weekend, folks. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.